Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Michelle Vandepas. And we're going to be talking about something in business. Well, yes, it is a business show. She says, hang on a second, my computer's going crazy here today. It's just suddenly decided to jump up and down. You're not at a disco computer, calm down. The power of purpose in entrepreneurship, building a legacy-driven business. Are we doing that? Are we only thinking of the moment or the short term? Are we really investing all our heart and energy into something that could be obsolete in the next moment? Are you passionate, purpose-driven, heart-centered, ambitious business person? Are you in search of a tailored coaching program that resonates with your unique vision? Michelle is a highly accomplished, purpose-driven entrepreneur who has achieved multi-seven-figure success multiple times in her career. She possesses wealth of experience and expertise in building purpose, legacy-driven businesses, and her insights will undoubtedly resonate with your audience. As my audience here. And as a co-founder of the successful publishing company, Michelle has demonstrated her ability to navigate the entrepreneurial landscape and create impactful ventures. Her expertise extends beyond business success. She also leads retreats and coaches professionals in creative revenue streams while leading their purposeful lives. So we're going to speak on entrepreneurship. Are you living in your passion? Have you got something to publish? But I think the bottom line of everything that somebody should ask themselves when they're going into business is the big question, why? Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you. It seems like you brought from everything, and thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, you've obviously done a lot. And what I was saying, a lot of people who have done a lot is there's always a core. Why are you doing it? How does the thread tapestry together? So what's your why? Why are you
Yeah,
driven?
you're speaking my language here. So the things that really weave in all of my entrepreneurial ventures are I love teaching and working with adults
Mm-hmm,
and sharing what I have learned along the way in the business world.
mm-hmm.
So I work with entrepreneurs and people who may not identify as entrepreneurs, right? Maybe
Uh-huh.
they say they have a small business or they need a second income stream and they don't identify as entrepreneurs, but they really are. My heart is with that group of people of
Mm,
all ages. And I love really digging into why we're all here,
mm,
what we're here to do, what you're here to do, what I'm here to do. And it's not always about the doing, right? So I
yes.
hope we're going to get into that. And then how does that translate in business? So that's my sweet spot because I love the thrill and the
Mm-hmm.
magic that happens in business.
The exploration, right? The
Yeah.
sense of adventure. I think is that you may have, I want to be able to do this, but you may not quite know how to do this. And really what you're describing is a feeling. I want to change people's lives. Well, how do you want to change people's lives? Well, I'm very good at this and I'd like to do it in this way. Do you know how to do it in that way? But I think if you know what your end goal is, if you know why you want to do it and whom you want to serve, all of the other pieces, I think kind of, reverse engineering, go back then to the beginning because you know why you want to do it. Now it's a question of how do you do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can just riff on that for a minute,
Mm,
because I find that if we go to the verbs associated with what we think we should do,
mhm.
if we backtrack for a minute, I'll give you an example. So I like to coach, I like to teach, I like to love on my clients, I like to explore and brainstorm. But if I suddenly say, I am a business coach, it
Hmm.
takes the juice out of it,
Yes.
right? It becomes a thing rather than a doing, a being. So all these other things are verbs like teaching,
Hmm.
coaching,
Hmm.
right? Serving, helping, brainstorming. And if I stay in that energy, I'm more alive than if I suddenly have to go coach, right? It's a
Right.
small thing, but it's an
Mm.
energetic thing. And so for someone who's stuck, I would say, are you thinking that the career is the purpose?
Hmm.
So if you are a caregiver and you love caregiving and you love nurturing on other people, it does not mean you have to go be a nurse
Right.
or
Right.
caregiver, right?
Right.
That is one thing you might possibly do. But if you tap into the energy of the verb of what lights you on fire,
Hmm.
then there's all kinds of opportunities. You can do a million things with caregiving. I can do a million things with coaching,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Don't get caught up in the title of something, right?
Right,
And
right,
as I say, there are a lot of people today become headliners, and it's a headline, but where is the content? Where's the context of that content? And it's
right,
right, and it's we kind of try to have this one size fits all. We're not one size fits all. We're dimensional creatures that are going to be on so many different levels at so many different times according to the situation. And what I love with the work I do for the last 11 and a half years is the people that were on one track, thinking they had it all together. And then along came an either cosmic two by four or just even a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, and put them on a different path. But that path was driven by the experience they had, not the work experience, the life experience. And now the
right.
passion and the conviction to go and make a difference in someone else's life because they understand what it's all about. And those are the people that I think that really do shine because that meaningful purpose is the driving force.
Yeah, beautifully said. Love that. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we don't always know that meaningful purpose when we start out. So it's okay to kind of go from one to the other because what you're doing is gathering experience, gathering, I don't like this. Oh, I'm good at that. Oh, I can put this in my backpack, right? So it's okay if you're at a buffet trying all sorts of different careers as you start off, right?
Right, because those are all the things you do with
Yes,
your
yes.
purpose. Your
Hmm.
purpose. So let's start with being alive is enough of a purpose. You don't have to go find something outside of yourself. You don't have to
Yeah.
go chase it. You don't have to go figure out what verb you are. Being here is enough. But then go a little deeper and just try to notice what interaction lights you up inside. Is it with
Yes.
children? Is it with
Yeah.
animals? Is it out in the public? Is it figuring something out? Like, what are some of those things? And then you can choose to go try a million different careers. And I love that you talk about that cosmic two by four because everybody gets a
Oh
couple
yeah.
in their lives.
Yes.
I mean, everybody. And the older we get, the more we realize it's just part of life. And so then it is our life experience and our resources, our resilience, the thing we've taught ourselves along the way that we can bring into our purpose to help us move into the next phase, whatever that's going to be, of
I mean,
helping
very
others.
often, kind of where we are at 40 or 50, there's no way we could have done it at 20 because the life
Oh,
experience that we had in the meantime and the thing that drove us to where we are today and the meaning of it wouldn't have had the same meaning back then. So this thing about,
right.
well, my 20s, I've got to have my career all mapped out in front of me. Ha 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 ha.
Right. It doesn't
Good luck
work.
with that.
And I have a couple decades on those numbers you're throwing out. And
I've
I'm
got many decades on that.
and I'm still out there running a business and
Mm.
I hope making a difference and working with people. Yeah. So it is, as long as you're alive, I think it's a wonderful magical adventure if you
Yes.
choose to look at it that way.
I mean, as I said, I've been doing podcasting for the last 11 and a half years, and no show is ever exactly alike, which is beautiful. And that's what
Yeah.
keeps me engaged and wanting to keep doing it. The different stories, the different perspectives, things I never knew, things that illuminate and inspire. And I think one of the things that we're losing a great deal today is that engagement, but also we're looking for inspiration in the wrong places, or we're looking for validation or permission, where really the
Right.
validation, the permission lies within.
It
All
does,
right.
and it's hard to get to that place. That
Yeah.
takes a little bit of age. I'm gonna
Mm.
just swivel a little bit.
So
Feels
suddenly you
like
got
I've
some.
got suddenly I got light on me. It's like, whoa, gotta
Right.
find the right balance here.
Yes. Right. Well, yes, I know. A light, it's shedding the light on the situation.
Right, right,
But life experience does kind of show you the path you want to have. And I think, it's a good idea to explore something because you never know. You just don't know. And when I started podcasting, I didn't even know what a podcast was when somebody asked me to join her network. And it was all live, and I pressed all the wrong buttons to start off with, right? And it was
right.
literally kind of, you know, blind, deaf, and dumb in order to see, hear, and feel. I had to just experience it. And here I am 11 and a half years later and 10 years with my own network. And I'm still doing that. I'm still fumbling sometimes because systems change and tech changes and that
Right.
changes. But the content is what stays consistent. And I think what we're looking for in our career is a content, something that it doesn't matter how I do it or where I do it, or even whom I do it for. It's that something that is the instrument that you are and why you're doing it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And even if we don't know the why, if we just follow what lights us up,
Yes.
it'll take us there.
Another
It
big
will.
word, allow,
Yeah,
right? Allow your life to unfold. I mean, people who want to kind of live their life by numbers, one lane and what comes next, the expectation of life. Let's look at society as a whole and realize that this expectation of what you should be and what is important and what makes you valuable is what screwed us up
right, right.
royally, royally,
Yeah,
right? And that allowing our children that are beautiful explorers and they're going to try this and they're going to try that. And then next week it's this and next week's that. All of those things they're trying, all those things they're exploring is all building blocks of whatever it is they will apply themselves to later, which then again, they could change your mind and be applied somewhere else. I've
right,
certainly had multiple careers,
right.
right? But it's always what's your fundamental that goes with you.
Yeah, it's who you are,
Mm,
who you are, and what your soul calls for to
yes.
keep you going, keep you moving forward. Absolutely.
Now, you and I both know what soul talk is about, but a lot of people don't. What do you mean soul? Well, I say this is the whatever divinity you are, God, universe, spirit, energy, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all the same thing. We just call it something different. But it is that allowing it to come through our soul to hit our heart in truth. And in that truth, our spirit picks up an action and our mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And quintessentially, it's getting out of the human mind, allowing the soul, heart, and spirit intellect to guide the mind on what it needs to do.
It's very difficult to discern that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that takes, for me at least, it takes practice. And sometimes I still am not always sure. Am I following my intuition?
Mm-hmm.
Am I just saying no because of fear or because I don't want
Yeah,
to? Am I really being called to do this? Sometimes when we're not good at listening, we get those
yeah,
cosmic two by
yeah.
fours, right? And
Yes.
so I think even if we're not good at listening, we'll get there eventually. We don't have a choice.
Right.
Um,
Resistance
our
is
soul,
futile.
our soul will take us there, but
Yes.
it's an easier, more fun
Mm,
journey
if you
if
go
we
with it.
can learn to follow our own heart and our own intuitive devices.
Yeah.
But that's not always easy. And some days I get it totally wrong.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I was telling a friend of mine, I launched this whole program that I knew was going to be super successful. And I worked on it for 6 months and did a big launch and had a bunch of people come, and not one person bought. And I still don't know why. Like
Right.
intuitively, I get it's the
Yes.
right program. Like it should sell. Like
Right.
people
But it's
should
just going
flock
to the
to
wrong
this.
people at the wrong time. And that's
It could be
sometimes
the
all it
wrong
is.
time,
Yes.
right? It could be,
Yes.
but I don't know. And so
Yeah.
I'm left with this, huh? I got
Yeah.
this brilliant insight. I did everything. It still feels like the right thing, right? So
Exactly.
we don't always know.
No, and don't abandon it. Like 5.5
Right.
years ago, I was given a vision. And when I get that vision, I take my graphics and put it together and create a picture. Uh,
Yes.
and and that picture, it has not changed in what I am meant to do and where I am meant to go. But it's taken a long time to kind of do each of the steps because it's all about me collaborating and aligning with people. And you
Right.
meet someone, you think, is it? They speak enthusiasm. Now let's see if they do enthusiasm. All right. And
Yeah.
then you find out the doing doesn't match the speaking. And you go, okay, that's not the right partner. You pull back again, and next one. And it can be very, desponding where you feel like I'm not, come on, this felt so right. Everything about it felt so right. Why am I
Right.
not finding the right people? And very often we have to look for that universal synchronicity, the right person at the right time. And all you have
Yeah.
to do is just make sure it's visible. It's visible that when somebody's ready for it, they see it and
Right.
it's their right time. So don't give up on things. It's
Yeah.
just keep it out there because when the right person see it, and that all you sometimes need is that right person and it's a go, right?
Absolutely. And we just don't always know
No,
why it didn't happen, timing, wrong
right.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't know. So
No,
yeah, I'm gonna launch it again this fall.
right.
We'll see.
Exactly. And it
Yeah.
just may, and we've also got to understand the energies of society and planet and situations that are going on very often do shift the energies of something that was so completely right for then when you were doing it, but
Right.
the energy shifted and just the atmosphere out there is in the wrong frequency right now.
It's
Uh,
crazy out there right now in
mm.
the world.
Ah, yes,
So yeah, it is. It's not. And so, just I keep just doing what I'm here to do, just
yes,
keep plugging away, do the best I can. And as you know, I'm traveling right now, so I'm
yes,
not in my regular background here, not in my own office. And it's a whole different set of circumstances when
yeah,
you travel. And then
yes,
there's weather,
yeah,
planes get delayed, and you never know, right? And so you have to just balance all of this.
right. Nothing is a smooth ride anymore.
It's not.
No, and you got to know wherever you want to go, A to B, whether it's traveling or A to B in your business, there's going to be bumps in the road. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I think that the talk with yourself beforehand, okay, you're going to get bumps in the road. Potholes are okay, but you don't want the Grand Canyon. How
Right.
can you avoid the Grand Canyon?
Right. Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
But it is, that meaningful purpose the way we want to look for something. I think the best business people aren't the people that have made a lot of money and that are rah rah. They're the billionaires out there. They're certainly driven. They know exactly which instrument to play to maximize the money. But I think, especially as you deal with smaller entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, small businesses, I think when they feel enriched and abundant in what they're doing, then that abundance will become their business.
I like that abundance. I think if you have abundance of energy,
Yeah. And passion
abundance
for
of
it.
belief in yourself,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting word. Abundance of tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm. Resilience.
universe will match it all,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's that because it's that driving force, in business today, especially in smaller businesses, solopreneurs, before people are going to buy from you, they're going to have to buy you. Do
Yeah.
they buy you? And if you're not being authentic, if it feels like one of those whole awful, irritating flashes that we used to get on websites, then
Yeah.
they'll go to the next. But if they
Right.
feel you're really authentic, they can feel the abundance of your enthusiasm and your passion for what you're doing, they're more interested to know more.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
But it's tapping into that, isn't it? Tapping
Yeah.
into
And
that and then making a business out of it.
right. Right.
So how would you suggest somebody comes to you and say, look, I've got a passion for this, I've got a passion for that. How would you guide them on that path and how to turn that passion into something that,
Well, there's a,
it can be a business?
so yeah, that's a great question. And there's a couple different ways to look at it. And the first one is sometimes passions should just be our hobbies. We don't have to monetize everything. We
Right.
don't have to make a business out of everything, right?
Mm,
And so there's something in the Western culture that has taught us that we're
Mm,
supposed to make money out of everything.
I
And it's
know.
just not
Yeah.
true. We've got to have hobbies. We've got to have fun things to do where there's no pressure to make money, where we get creative freedom, where we have total freedom to just do whatever we want to do and not worry about if the money's going to come in. Right.
Well,
So the first
you're
thing I
talking
say
my
is,
business.
so the first thing is you have to look and see, is this a passion project? It's just a passion project.
Right.
You love to do it. It's your hobby. You like to go stamp collecting or skiing, whatever it is, and you don't need to make a living at it. That's wonderful. Set that aside. Then I go back to, what are your verbs that you love to do? And is there a passion that connects with it? So,
Right.
if we were just going to make something up, people love antiquing and
Mm,
selling things on, websites, eBay and Etsy and all those kinds of things. Um, is that something that you want to do and make a living at? And if it is, then you look at tune into which pieces of that light you on fire and
mhm.
make sure you're putting most of your energy there. As an entrepreneur, you still have to do all the other bits like the books and
Yes.
payroll and hire a CPA or whatever it is that you need to do, right? If your fun part of that for you is the antiquing, put most of your effort there,
Mhm.
but figure out how to make a profit at it. Don't just presume it's waving a fairy
Yeah.
wand, it's all going to come together.
Oh, I wish.
Sometimes people think, oh, if I just add $20 to this, I'll make a living, or
Right.
whatever it is. And they haven't actually run the numbers.
Mm.
And it actually costs money to run a business,
Oh, it
right?
does. Yes.
There's a lot of overhead that just comes with it, especially anything that's online. There's
Mm.
all these sneaky tools that
Hmm.
actually are really helpful, but there's monthly fees on
Yes.
all of them. And so I think what I would say is, number one, determine, do you want to make a living at it? Like, are you going to burn out?
Mhm.
If you're a stamp collector and you have to suddenly make a living at it, is that going to burn you out and take the fun out of it?
Yeah.
Right. And then if it's something, no, I really want to learn how to resell, stamps on Etsy. I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm making it up as we go along. Um, then you have to figure out, like, how much do I really need to make a living? You have to run some
Right.
numbers. You don't need a 27-page business plan
No.
anymore, but you do need to run your numbers. You do need to know where the profit's going to come from, what hidden expenses might be, if you have to pay commissions. I mean, even somewhere like Etsy has fees, right? So you're
Yes.
going to be paying fees there. Maybe you're going to be paying commissions. How are you going to get the word out? And run some numbers to see if it's even feasible. I would start there. And, there's two schools of thought depending on the person. One is you just jump right in and go for it. And the
Mhm.
other is you start slow. And I think it totally depends on the person. I've seen both work and I've seen both fail.
Oh, I'm the person who jumps into something and to see if I can do it. And then
Yeah,
if it grabs me, I said, this is the longest I've ever stayed with anything career-wise, because I do love it. Still trying to monetize it though, because podcasting is a totally different thing. And nobody
right.
knows what the donate button is for. So, completely oblivious to that, although it's a big, huge thing. But my sister, as a little side thing, she lived in England and well, does live in England, and she would go and get beautiful tablecloths, lace tablecloths, or linen, or this and that were very traditionally English, and then she would actually sell them to the American market because they loved this stuff. And she's meticulous as how she presented, and you know she irons her underwear, so let's say no more. I mean, she really goes in deep with that. And for a while there, she was doing very, very well. Sickness, of course, came in, and that's something you've got to bear in mind too. If you're a solopreneur, there are going to
Right,
be times where you may get sick or something may happen and you can't work, right?
right.
And are you completely dependent on that salary? Because if you can't work for some reason and you know that that salary is keeping you afloat, then that could just cause you to feel even sicker.
Yeah, and now, of course, all the buzzwords are around multiple streams of
Yes.
income and
Mhm.
passive income and building wealth, and all of those things are important. And um, And I think you have to look at each stream of income separately, and is it bringing you income? And
Mm.
nothing's really passive,
No,
right?
no.
Nothing's really passive, even like a rental house, somebody's got to keep up the rental house
Yes.
and do the insurance. Or if you have an Amazon store, someone's got to ship the products and
Yeah.
update the description. So nothing's really passive,
No.
even though that's the buzzword. But is there something else you can do to have some income coming in case you do get sick or want to go on vacation?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's, as a solopreneur, I wear all the hats. I do everything. And yes, it's, there are very many hats that I'm very wobbly with, right? That they're not my forte. And either I have to get help or I have to seek, knowledge on how to do it because I can't afford the extra people. So it's a question of have to. And it's like, is it my favorite thing? No. But in your business, you're always going to have something, the drudgery, right? So
Yep.
you can do what the passion is, what you
Right.
love to do. And it's like, don't begrudge the drudgery because it's the bricks and mortars that hold up everything else. And if you just get on with it, then you've got more time to actually enjoy what you really enjoy about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all have to do things that are not our favorite. And you just want to make that as easy and painless as you can and find fun ways to go about it and get help when you can and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. But keep moving forward. But it's also if your business doesn't take off, don't look at yourself as a failure because you tried and for some reason something happened. I opened up a dress store and it was 2 blocks away from where Expo 86 was going to happen in Vancouver. So I thought it,
Wow.
but I got in there in 85. So I thought I'll build up the business ready for 86. Well, what happened is that it was very much the ladies of the street area at the time, and they were busy trying to kind of clear that out and move them along. And one day on a Valentine's Day, the police called me and I go in and they've wiped me out. They've come in and wiped me out of my clothing store. So the insurance took 8 months to get the insurance on it. And it was like, okay, end of chapter there. And
Right.
for a little while, it was like, yeah, I did feel like a failure because I didn't make it go. I had 2 young children at home too. It was the wrong time, really, to do it. But it was just sometimes I think that is the universe saying, great idea, wrong time, wrong place. Um, let's pull the rug on you on this one, and you'll revisit it in some form or other down the road. So,
Right. And you take those experiences with you
yes,
and learned whatever you learned and keep moving forward. Absolutely.
exactly. The failure I feel is when you kind of give up and you're never going to do anything ever again, right? Because
Right.
you've given up. And that's what failure to me, I call them redirects. So when something didn't work, I look at it as a redirect to something else.
Right.
But every single thing I've done in my life, and I've had a very diverse career life, but every single thing I've done, there has been an aspect of it that I still do today now in this business. Right. And that's the thing is, if you are a person back in the day, if you change jobs more than twice in your life, it's what's wrong with you? Why can't you stay at one thing? Stay with one man, one this, one that. If you moved around and did other things, right, it was like you can't make up your mind. You're wishy-washy or this or that. And today we're just saying you're having an experience in discovery of what you really want to
Right.
do.
That's not like that at all
No,
anymore. Not
no.
the same at all anymore.
No, you gather the experience and put it in that backpack and take it with you. But I think you're going to have enthusiasm in the beginning because you've got the stream. But if you haven't got the resilience behind that enthusiasm peters out, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for just putting one foot in front of the other, and
Hmm.
showing up is
Yes.
more than half the battle.
Mm.
There are plenty of days when I don't feel like getting up and doing what I do, and you just get up and you do it anyway. That's, as they say, that's kind of a boomer thing. That's my age. It's
Yes.
showing my age a little bit, but it has
68 here.
worked. It has worked for me,
Yeah.
right? You just get up even on the days when you don't want to. I mean, we all need a mental health day and
Oh
we
God,
all need
yes.
time off,
Yeah.
but there are times when you just get up and you just keep plowing through it. And that actually works because showing up is a big piece of it. You just show up to your work every day.
I would say, 98% of the time I always show up. The one I don't is when my daughter with the children call me, and says, I need help,
Yeah.
mom. Or if, like, was it last year, the year before, it was 40 degrees in my office. So I,
Oh,
I could not do an interview because I had a wet towel around my head just trying to do admin, just sweating
right.
buckets.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and sometimes there are those elements, and sometimes confusion happens, especially when it's long distance of people turning up at the wrong time or the wrong place or the wrong this or the wrong that. It
Right.
happens, right? And it's go with the flow. And it used to be if I took any time off, I would make sure I had shows for that week. So I would kind of triple down. I normally do 4 to 8 shows a week, and I was doing like 12 to make sure that there were shows for the week while I was away. And now it's like, no, I'm just going to take that time. But there's over 3,000 shows you can go into. If I'm missing a
Right.
week here and there, it's
Right.
okay. And I thought, why am I breaking myself for doing this? It's unnecessary. So if
Yeah.
you if
That's an
you run of
amazing
energy,
amount of shows.
uh, yeah,
Amazing.
there's an amazing amount of people out there that I want to get out there on the air. So I try and keep up with it. But I think that's the thing. If you push too hard, then you start resenting what you're doing. And I think the important thing in your any business is, as you said, the biggest leap you're going to take is the first step, but one step at another. And there are times you're going to be able to stride and times you're going to be able to jump. But most of the time, it's that plodding. And at my age, at 68, I used to be the hare. I am a visionist. I can see everything built, who's coming into it, right? And how they're going
Right.
to feel. I could see the finished picture and I wanted to get there. I've
Right.
become the tortoise now. And I'm enjoying being a tortoise because there's no hurry for me to reach the deadline. And it's the
Right.
people and places and experiences I'm having along the way. So it's okay to slow down and take in, right? Because you could miss an opportunity otherwise.
Right. And we all have a lifetime to get wherever we're going.
Yes. I think that also in business, there's two words I hate is competition and comparison. Um,
Well, comparison's the killer.
yes, yes,
That's rough. And I think uh it feels like it's gotten really difficult out there with social to
yeah,
back away from that.
yeah. There
But
is
that's
only
the
one
big
you,
one.
right? There is just
Yeah,
you. I've had it over. Why don't you interview like so and so? Because I'm Sarah. I'm not them,
right,
right? And I think that is something. Again, you know why you want to do it. It's a passion you want to do it, but make sure it is you doing it, not an image of somebody else.
right, right. Yeah, the comparison thing I think shuts people down because they
Yeah.
just think, oh, I can't do it.
Yes.
Because they're already doing it or they're doing it better or they're whatever, more rich, more famous, have more TikTok followers, whatever it is, right?
Yes, I know.
And that's the big thing. If you have something in your heart to do, it's yours to go do. That's why it was put there in your heart. Go do it.
And your energy and your passion for what you're doing is going to reach the people that receive your energy and the beautiful instrument that you are and what you're offering, and they're going to want that. And God forbid you should so all of a sudden have like your 5,000 followers all want your attention at the same time. You won't be able to serve them. So it's put your authenticity out there of
Yeah,
of who you are and what you're doing. And people that feel your vibe are going to connect and they're going to be the right people. There's
that's
no
right.
one size fits all.
That's right. You just got to keep putting it out there. You also mentioned competition.
Mm.
Um, I think there's some usefulness in business to look and see what other people are doing.
Yeah,
That does not mean you have to go head to head to see who
right.
wins. Doesn't
Exactly.
mean it's a race.
Yeah.
There is some space to see what other people are charging and not
Mhm.
charging and what they're offering and not offering, and whether there's a place that you can serve where other people are not.
Yeah,
But that does not mean you have to price yourself lower or higher or
right.
in the middle. It's just information.
Exactly.
And it's not like, oh my gosh, they're charging this amount, so I have to charge XYZ. No, it's just information. Oh, they're charging that amount. I wonder what they offer for that. And I'm charging this amount, and this is what I offer. And that way, when you talk to people, when you have sales calls and you talk to people who are looking to buy what you have, you can be informed and
Yes,
educated about
yes.
what's out there so that you can help your buyer make an appropriate decision for them. Not everybody I talk to should buy from me.
Right, exactly.
Most by the time they get to me,
Mm,
they've either done a little research or I've had an email with them or something, and we kind of know it's probably a match. But sometimes people come to me and I say, what I have isn't quite right, or you don't need what I have.
yeah,
This over here will be just fine for you. And so it's helpful to be educated about what else is out there, but don't try to run a race against someone else. Oh my
right.
gosh.
And also be direct when you're looking at that out there, because let's say, internet information we can be oversaturated at times. And I think is again, keep it within the parameters of what it is that you're wanting to do and ask those questions. Because if you just ask an abundant amount of questions, it could talk you out of doing it altogether.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So
Right.
is the information you're seeking relevant? And along the way, did you gather other information that, well, I didn't know that, I need to know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being open and receiving. I get shooted on all the time for not charging high prices for my shows. And I said, I'm a very spiritual person, governs things by faith. I have programs that people can pay for because they're business programs, but I call it the conscious donation. It's up to your conscious of what you want to donate. And some people look at me and go, how can you run a business like that? And I said, well, this is my choice to run my business this way, because that is nothing to do with I don't like money or I'm afraid of money or I don't think I'm not offering anything of quality. It's where my level of conscience is. People will pay for what they think is of value. And that's where I'm at. But other people, if you're selling a product to this, that, it's much easier to price. If you're selling
Right.
a service, then it's got to be something you feel comfortable with, because if you don't, people know. And they don't know why you're uncomfortable. Is there something wrong with the program? Right? You've got this, you've given me this number, but you're giving it to me with doubt, and so be comfortable with what you're offering and be comfortable with how much you're charging with it, because in that way, people aren't going to second guess, because people pick up those little doubts, don't they?
They do. And
Yeah.
I have put together packages and helped clients price packages for many, many years. And I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but sometimes it is a little bit arbitrary.
Mhm.
It is a little bit what let's say it's a coach selling a service.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of arbitrary about what the coach feels comfortable charging,
Mhm.
right? And exactly how you're saying, you can't just, there's this whole thing in the coaching world, just double your prices. Like that does not work.
Whom
It
are you
does
here
not
to
work.
serve? Only the rich? How
You-
about the other
well,
people trying to make good out of life?
well, and then the person doubling their prices usually until they're stepped into
Yeah,
that doesn't know how to serve at that level.
exactly.
They don't have that value yet. And so, you start with where you're comfortable and you match the value. You make
Mhm.
sure that your client's getting really, really good value there. And then the way to add additional revenue is you add more value and then you can increase your price. You
Right.
just don't go double your price.
No.
It just doesn't work because other people feel it like you're
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
But packaging services is very interesting.
Mm.
I've done that with all kinds of healthcare service providers, chiropractors, and acupuncturists. I've had a whole career helping those kinds of people package services and sell their services. And um, it doesn't really matter if you're the cheapest or the most expensive or the middle of the road. It all has to do with what you're offering and what your prospective client is wanting
Mhm.
and whether it's a match or not.
Yes. Again, that goes back to that comparison, isn't it? Or competing. You're not them. What they're offering with their energetic light. You're offering maybe exactly the same type of thing, but from your perspective and your energy light. And the people that are going to come to you are the people that are going to connect with you. So although you may be doing the same service, you're going to be offering it in different ways, and you're going to attract different people according to,
Right.
quite honestly, the frequency. the
Yeah,
vibration. They,
totally.
do they get you? Do they feel you? People don't even realize they go to people because they feel them, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
want to feel.
totally. Do we match? I'm a book publisher. I'm co-owner of a publishing company. We have a lot of authors, and I tell you, by the time they get to me, they either get me or they don't,
Right,
right? And it's like, oh yeah, you're who I want. I want you to publish for
right.
me. I want you to help me. Um, and usually they don't even make it to a conversation with me. There's something along the way. They don't like the email, they don't like the
Yeah.
website, they don't there's something that they've hit that they don't like, and they move on, right? And that's sort of a self-selecting
Yes. Yes.
thing. And
Well,
it
what are we
also
looking
has,
for? Does that
right,
person match what we're looking for? Yeah.
and that's what you put out in marketing, and that's what you put out when you're selling, whether it's a service or a product, whatever it is, that you're putting out words, you're
Mm,
choosing words that you help the client self-select if it's a match for them.
right.
Right. If you talk about frequency and vibration, if I put that on my website, which I do have some of that terminology on my website, somebody who's not aligned with the
Yeah.
word frequency is just going to go elsewhere. They're going to say, oh, she's a wacko. She's too woo for me.
Right.
And she'll go elsewhere, and it's not a match. And I don't even know. I've never even talked to the person.
Right. But then on the other hand, you may have people, because there's many of us that do speak this language now, and it's more of a frequent
Absolutely.
language, they go to, oh, thank God somebody
Right.
speaks this language.
Absolutely.
So again, it's not one size fits all. You're not going to please everybody. And if somebody connects with you, then that's the first step. Because
Yeah.
if you don't, I did a ebook some years ago with some of my um, podcast guests. And the person I'd interviewed them, and I thought that we would be able to work together. And he put this book together, and he was awful. He was awful. I mean, everything was a battle with him. Absolutely everything. I'm working with somebody else now that uh, we do speak same language.
Yeah.
So they're speaking the same language and doing it. Why? Because the next book we're doing is the Forgotten Children series book, which is bringing anthology of people together on the raising of our children, what needs to change. And I'm going to be fundraising for that book to be able to put it out. And the money goes back to them and the organizations they support. But
Nice.
the next book, because I call it the Robin Hood syndrome, the next book is going to be a business coach book. And those are the people that want to promote their business and their
Right.
services and their coaching. And they will pay for that because
Right.
I'm not raising money to support them. Right? I'm going to charge them for a book that's going to support their business. So,
Absolutely.
so I think it is, you've got to know what you want to do and why you want to do it. What is your end game? And I think if you don't know what your end game is, and we have a picture of what we think is the end game, and it doesn't matter if it's a sketch at this time and not a full picture. But I think if you don't know whom you're wanting to serve, then you can be really lost along the way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't think knowing who you want to serve doesn't mean that it has to fit a very tight
No,
avatar.
no,
It's a frequency, it's a
yeah,
vibration of who it is you want to serve. It could
yeah,
be different ages, different places in the world. Maybe not. You may be really clear about who you love to work with,
right.
but it can be more arbitrary than age and location.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it goes, I think for me, for everybody, the why are you doing it? What are you wanting to achieve with this? And then
Right.
once you know, I want to achieve this, and then it's like, well, how are you going to do it? What are the
Yeah.
steps you're needing to know? And that's where they need someone like you. Okay, these are your ABCs, because if you haven't built the foundation, if you don't have the structure there, how is it going to hold the vision?
Right. And the structure sometimes is an energetic structure. Like people come to me and say, okay, I need, a website and a shopping cart and an email list and an autoresponder and an opt-in page and a landing page and a funnel and all this. And I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah,
Let's step back for a minute and see what it is that you really want to do and what you need.
yeah,
Maybe you'll get all those things at some point, and maybe you need them right out, but it's not a given. The
right.
structure can be, I'm going to go speak to my local chamber of commerce once a month and talk about who I am. Like there's a
Mm.
lot of different ways to get your message out, and people forget that. And so you got to find the way that really aligns with you and where your people hang out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
How are you going
it's,
to reach them?
and how are you going to reach them? And
Hmm.
where do they hang out? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think because of the last few years, we've definitely become very, very savvy on fake news and fake people. And perhaps have become a little jaded. So when
Some of
people,
us have.
yes,
Some of us
you're,
have. I'm always amazed at some people that I look and I see what they're doing, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, apparently they're doing really well. And I'm like, you're gonna get taken,
yeah,
dude. You are. I'm here to tell you, but
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think, the thing is back to, as you said before, that research. Is there an audience for what you want to do? Where's your core value in what it is that you want to do? Why do you want to serve these people? You need to ask all those questions. Is there a need for what I want to do? What kind of people am I wanting to serve?
right,
Because all of those questions need to be asked so that you can actually narrow your I want to do this down into, okay, these are my people that I need to address. This is
right,
how I need to do it. And because that authenticity of who you are, I go to someone's website before I interview them. I want to see who they are, what they're about, and what the work they've done. Very, very often, I look at a website, all very nice. I interview them or pre-interview them, and that website is not representative of who they are, right?
hmm,
And I find it becomes disconglobulated of your presence. Yes, you can get someone to build a website for you, but get somebody who's always going to have the essence of you in there, because that
right,
is the invitation for them to want to know more. And if they see that and it's like they're not connecting because it's too next template and generic as opposed to invitational and inspirational, they're going to move
yeah,
on.
right, right. Well, I'm flattered because I'm still here.
Yeah, you're
So
still here.
yeah, I'm still,
But I think the important thing is that whatever you're going to do in life, if it's out just to make money, yeah, sure, you can make money, but you probably won't stay at it long because it's not your driving force from your core. I think is know your core. Know your core of why you're doing it, what it is. I'm compelled to do this. I'm committed to do this. I don't know how to do it, but I'm committed to doing it. And
right,
then seek out the people that you align with, like yourself, where I hear what you're saying. Yes, what you're saying makes sense. Oh, I can do that. Because when you've got that kind of response, then you know you've got somebody that can work with you and you can work with them.
right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, not one size fits all or anything else. So on the publishing side, what kind of authors do you publish?
Um, Mostly nonfiction inspirational work.
Mhm.
On our website, we do talk a lot about being an inspirational company and wanting to change the world in a
Mhm.
better way. And so
One book at a time?
most of our authors don't even, make it, like I said, to myself or one of the other directors of the company to have a conversation unless they're sort of inspirational. We publish some inspirational fiction, lots of memoirs,
Mm.
healing books, healing from trauma books. We publish some business books. We publish some art books, but it's usually something that betters the world, and
Mm.
almost always nonfiction.
Mm.
And we've published about 100 books last year,
Wow.
and I have helped thousands of authors publish books in about 30 years, even way before like
Right.
Amazon and all that. And I would say if you want to write a book, write a book. It doesn't have to be on some bestseller list.
Exactly.
It may or may not.
Yeah.
If it helps your core people,
Hmm.
great. If you can use it to help build your business, like you're talking about an
Hmm.
anthology of business
Yeah.
coaches, I want to talk to you about that.
Right.
Um, that is a terrific way to give you credibility, to help you really get clear about what it is that you want to put out there in the world. Because if you have a chapter in a book, you better be super clear about what you're going to put in that chapter and
Yes.
how you want the world to know you. Um, and there's a lot of value in that,
Mhm.
regardless of how the book goes. The process of going through and writing or publishing a book uh, enables you to step up in a new way
Yeah.
that you haven't done before, that you have to work with an editor who's going to polish your thoughts, right?
Mhm.
Your words, but really your thoughts, and help you get super clear about that. And so there's an up leveling that comes with a book. Even people who've written many books still talk about how they have to go through a growth edge to write their next book about what they want to say next and who they are
Mm.
now in the world, right?
Yeah.
So if you're called to write a book, write a book. Um, and there's a lot of different ways to get a book out these days.
Yes.
And I work with everybody, all walks of life, all kinds of publishing, and I love having conversations with authors.
And I love the fact that you're doing kind of the stories, the memoirs, because you people used to think it was a vanity thing, and it isn't. What it's proven to be is not only a wonderful therapy and release. I'm just in the process of doing mine. Um, a, a reflection of your own life, especially when you're reading it back. Because for me, it was
Right.
just download it, then go and look at it afterwards. And my son-in-law has been helping me with this, and my brother is a literary master's teacher, and he's been helping me
Oh,
with this.
great. Yeah.
And the one of the things I realized kind of with talking with them, I've addressed this and I've addressed that, but I've left a whole chunk of this out. And my son-in-law is, he's analytical, he's incredibly creative, but he's an engineer. And so he said, I'm going to ask you questions. And then we're
Yeah.
going to put it in the format because the questions trigger memories that when you're just writing it, you get kind of caught up in one wave and you're missing another. And when
Yeah.
somebody asks you those questions and they're recording your reply, so the content is there, then it's like, yes, I can add that and tidy it
Yeah.
up and add that because it's something you missed while doing it. So it has been quite an experience. I wanted
It
to get
is.
the book out early, and then it's like, okay, it's going to be out for my birthday for October.
Oh,
And
good.
that's
Congratulations. I
so
can't wait to see it.
that is
Yeah.
something I'm going to put out then, and that's got to be finished by then. And we're hoping the Forgotten Children by Christmas. But one of the things when you have an anthology, which I'm sure you know, is like herding cats to get all the paperwork and everything in, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it can be quite difficult. But patience, I think one of the big thing is do not have it's got to be out by then and then stress yourself out and everything else. It's like if it's not happening in this time frame, it'll be out when it's out, right? And I think that's something that age allows you to look at. There's no point in fighting the cosmic energy. It's
Right.
directing the ship here, right?
That's right. And sometimes a creative project just needs to morph a little bit before
Yes.
it's ready to birth.
Yeah, I thought I was ready to birth, and then all of a sudden, no, more morphing into something else, that
Yeah.
okay, I realized I needed more content here and there because I've missed out chunks. Um, but it is interesting because I think one of the things that you need to do when you're writing, especially something like a memoir, you're writing it about you and foremost for you. If you're writing it in anticipation of who's going to read it and you're trying to please everyone's ears, you're going to lose yourself along the way. So I think it's write it for you, and then in the editing, it can be who's going to read this. But I think there's an awful lot of people I've interviewed who've written that book, and they've been astounded by the responses they've had with people who are saying, I went through that too, or I
Right.
resonated with that, or this did
Totally.
that for me. And
Yeah.
so, yes, please write that book. Don't
Yeah.
think you haven't got something to share or something to say, because for somebody out there that's going through a similar experience or who's just going to be inspired by what you've done or what you've achieved in life, that it invites them to look at their own lives differently,
Right.
right? So
Absolutely.
those books are important. And
Uh, Absolutely. And we always talk about writing your first draft and then working with an editor to polish it.
yes,
Sometimes people write their story and it's a moving story, but it's not edited yet to be able to
yes,
be received well. So
right.
I don't want to forget that editing piece.
No,
Everyone
the
needs
editing
editing.
is, and please don't get discouraged if you're having other people read it for you. if people come up, or I had somebody read it and she's immediately kind of, you've got to take the I out of it. And I thought, but I am referring to myself in the book. It's not business. I said, this isn't a business book,
Right.
right? This may touch on my business and why my business is important to me today. It's part of my self-discovery, but it's not a business book. So, don't take input as criticism. It's going to be critique from other people's perspective.
Well,
And if it
and
fits, it fits. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
right. And we don't ask for readers
Mm,
until very late in the
yeah.
process for
Yeah.
that reason. Yeah.
Yes. Because it can throw you off. And it's like
Yeah.
um, this number one bestseller, this need to be number one bestseller. Quite honestly, if one person's read your book and as one person listens to a podcast and it's had a positive impact on them, that's one person more than you had before
Right.
you did it, right? And the domino effect, the ripple effect will happen. So I think we need to just don't worry about the numbers. They will come. They will
Right.
come.
They will.
So somebody's got a great idea for a business, or somebody's in a business and kind of maybe thinking is I'm struggling, it's not going right, or I want to write a book or an anthology book or a business book. And a lot of people are writing faction, taking the fact of their life and
Right.
fictionalizing it as well,
Right. Right.
which is perfectly okay. A lot of people feel more comfortable doing it that way, kind of sharing their
Yep.
life story, but changing names and places, etc. Um, how do they reach out to you, and what's the first step that you do with them?
Yeah. So the first step is we usually have a 15-20 minute call, just talk about what their dreams, hopes, goals are and what I do and just see if it's a match. The easiest is to go to my website, michellevandepas.com. I've got Instagram, Facebook, social up there. I've got an email, a contact. I've got some free gifts. You can book a call with me there. So
Can you spell that out for the people who are just
yeah,
listening,
I'd
please, love?
love to. It's Michelle with two L's, Vandepas, Vandepas. And I just remembered michellecoaches.com will take you there too. That's
Okay,
a
and
little
you've
easier.
also got gracepointpublishing.com.
I do. That's my business. Grace Point Publishing is my other business. But either way, if you find me, I will put you in the right slot if we're a match. I will make sure that you're going to the right company.
That this is the thing, is that you may see somebody out there that top seller, top this, top that, and you think, oh, I'd love to get them. And then you find out either out of your price bracket, or B, they're going to hand you off to someone else because they're too busy now. And,
Yes.
and I think that, especially when you're doing something that is so personal, like starting a business or writing a book,
Yeah.
you need somebody that, again, hears you, sees you, and is there to support you, right? Not to change you or not to pass you off, but somebody there that's going to be that companion along the way, that that you can call in a sense of panic, or can hear what it is you're trying to say. I think that's one of the biggest things. So many people today don't hear people,
Yep.
right? And having somebody that can hear you and understand what it is you're trying to say or do because they see it is an absolute godsend. It really is. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you're giving 15-20 minute free conversation away to whether they can connect or not,
Yeah,
right?
we'll just talk. That's usually the easiest
Yes.
way. Some people prefer to send an email and get some questions answered via
Mm.
email. That's fine too.
Yeah.
Um, whatever
An
is
email may be a
comfortable.
good way to start to find out, do you do A, B, C, and D, and you go EFG and
Yeah.
all of that. But the next level should be the conversation, because
Well,
this
it should be because if we're
conversation.
gonna work,
Yeah.
if we're gonna
Yes.
work together, we're gonna
Yes.
talk. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then you'll know whether somebody, that you feel you can work to. Please trust the feeling, folks. Yes, I'm feely. I think everything should come. Feel your thoughts. Feel your position in life, because that helps the mind clarify what it needs to know. And instead of you running around in your head saying, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? Having that feeling as your compass is going to guide you to knowing what you need to do. And which should is it? Because some of those shouldn't happen. Well, thank you so much for sharing here today, Michelle. It's
Oh,
been great
Sarah, it was
having
a
you here.
pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad the light shifted a little bit, but
Yes.
thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here.
And folks, if you are wanting to write, you might just go, I'd love to write a book. I just don't know if I have enough in me. You
Yeah,
might, and then there is have that conversation, do I have anything to share?
yeah,
You'll let you
I
know.
can help. I can ask you a couple of the right questions and we'll get to it really quickly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Han. And you take care
Thank
of yourself,
you.
okay?
Thank you, Sarah.
All right. Until next time, folks, be true to yourself. Bye for now. Bye, Han. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.